What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Around the Table Sports. So, this past weekend in college football has been absolutely nuts, and even this weekend coming up with all of the COVID cancellations. So, there's a lot of news we have to get into, some recruiting news, and then later on this afternoon, I'm going to be uploading clips from the College Football Unmasked podcast. And every week, I'm going to start uploading clips from the podcast so that if you aren't already listening to it, you can kind of see what it's about. It is going to be morphing into something much more technical. We're trying to film it right now, so it should be a really good time. So I'm going to link that. Later today, I'll have clips with the podcast link, and that episode 6 of College Football Unmasked goes live this afternoon, and it's not something you want to miss. But right now, let's talk about some of the news happening in college football. And specifically, I kind of wanted to talk about the Ohio State and Maryland game being canceled this weekend. Because if you guys have been to my channel before, you know I've been pretty high on Maryland. And not in the sense of I think that Maryland is going to compete for the Big Ten championship. I don't think they're there yet. However, I do think that they are laying the groundwork to be able to become a better Big Ten team to at least compete on a regular basis with your teams like a Minnesota, be able to beat them regularly. With Penn State, I know Penn State isn't great this year, but I think that my hopes for Maryland are that you can on a regular basis at least compete with Penn State. And I think that with the combination of Tualia, Raheem Jarrett, and Mike Locksley, it's a definite doable thing. But before we get any further into this, y'all, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way when I'm uploading these clips from the podcast, you don't miss it. You won't miss any notifications about the podcast in and of itself and videos from the channel. We have some more film review getting planned and being ready to be put out. I know I haven't done as much of that. I've been very busy with my internship and getting stuff for the podcast done, but I already have some games loaded. Going to get back into some film reviews, so very excited about that. So let's talk about Maryland, because as it sits right now, the Maryland Terrapins are in an interesting position. They lost their first game to Northwestern, and Northwestern appears to be a very good team, which isn't surprising, right? Anybody who watches Northwestern football kind of has the sense to this point that they're just going to be a very solid team year in, year out. It's what they do, right? It's not like they're going to go compete against an Ohio State, but they don't have to. They're very, very good at what it is they do. So Maryland loses that game, and then the next week they beat a Minnesota team, and then the week after that they beat a Penn State team. The problem is both Minnesota and Penn State aren't very good right now, and so it's very hard to judge where Maryland is based off of those two wins alone. It's going to be difficult, and that's why this Ohio State game was so necessary. Now, make no mistake about it, I don't think Maryland had a chance at beating Ohio State, right? But that's not the issue here. The issue isn't, whether or not you can go and beat Ohio State. The issue is whether or not you can even make it a game. Because Ohio State is blowing people out. And Justin Fields is really putting his name on that QB1 mantra from the draft. Now, I don't know that he will be able to surpass Lawrence, right? Because Lawrence is doing nothing that we didn't think he'd be doing. I understand he's had to sit out some games due to COVID, but when he has played, the kid's been phenomenal. He looks incredible this season, but so does Justin Fields, right? So it would have been a great test to see what Maryland does when they're playing against the best of the best, whether or not they rise to the occasion and at least make it a game, right? Look, if you get beat by 2 touchdowns, but those 2 touchdowns come on 2 drives and you've played every other drive very hard, I'm fine with that as an outlook at Maryland. Here's the one downside to Maryland football, and here's where I am concerned. Right now, currently, Maryland sits at 26th in the nation in recruiting, and you are not going to be able to compete in the Big Ten if you aren't competing for top-level recruits. And quite honestly, I know there's a lot of FBS schools, right? And 26 sounds like it's not that bad. If you are wanting to capitalize on the talent Maryland has, the coaching staff I believe they have, and what they could do, 26 isn't going to cut it. If you're not top 20, top 15, really, you're not going to make and have any shot at a college football playoff. And if I'm being even harsher, you got to be top 10 to really be able to compete with your Ohio States on a regular basis. Top 15 will do it as well. regardless, they're not there. When I look at how Maryland is recruiting right now, I am a little bit worried that they are very regional. Maryland is recruiting the DC, Virginia, Maryland area very well, but not much outside of that. And that's something that's got to change, right? And you would hope that when Loxley was with Alabama, he would have made some different regional connections. Although I can't be 100% sure that maybe Saban and staff didn't use Loxley as their connection to the DC area with Maryland, Virginia. It's just so rich with talent over there. So look, you can't go wrong recruiting your own area, certainly not, but college football has evolved and you can't just be the king of your area because right now it's tough, right? You have to be able to convince kids from your area that are 5 stars like a Travion Henderson that go to Maryland over Ohio State where he currently is committed. The way you do that is in big games, you show up. And it's just very unfortunate that that Maryland-Ohio State game got taken from us this weekend, but it is something I'm going to look forward to. So, y'all stick around. We got some more videos coming up, and we can't wait to see y'all there. That's it. See ya.